Hello everyone, it's Alan Jones. I want to welcome each of you back to another edition of Relationship Economics with your host, Alan Jones. Hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to talk about and speak with you about infidelity and talk about some of the motivations and some of the costs with that. Why do people do this? And I think the first question that we may want to ask may be to flip that around and ask, to start off our conversation, talk about why do people stay together? And I think that there are sociological reasons, there are economic reasons, biological reasons. Largely, if you talk to an anthropologist or a sociologist or biologist, they each will give you their own take on that. The consensus being that for the rearing of children and the successful carrying forward of each of our genes, the mother and the father, that both parties have a vested interest in seeing the child raised successfully. But I think it's important to realize that all of us have a vested interest in trying to carry it forward. So that's where the motivation comes from, to be together. Now, as far as why someone would risk their family, and when I'm talking here about people cheating, I'm talking about that motivation to reproduce. Okay, not necessarily conception, even though that does happen at times, obviously. But that drive inside of us, we may term it as lust, and we may term it as love, we may term it as this and that, but nature is saying, I'm giving you this motivation so you can repopulate the earth. So when we talk about this drive, this drive to cheat, we're talking about how does it benefit the species, how does it benefit the individual even to step outside of their committed relationship. So in there, I think that for men and women, as we are different, that there are different motivations. Obviously for women, they're more heavily invested in each child that's born. Therefore, their motivations may differ than a man who can, with less effort and less time, reproduce more frequently than a woman can. A woman has a minimum 9-month commitment, and then the child rearing and the nurturing, there's a lot more emphasis on the woman. Nature has put that burden on women, and every mammal, basically. Every mammal has that same, female has that same responsibility. So having said that, I think there's a difference between the motivation of younger women to cheat, girls going after bad boys, going after that. They've seen that in other species where that they've gone after the rebels. But all women have this same, not all women, but I think women, large number of women in the younger years go through this same paradox where they are attempting to step outside of a relationship. I also would add, just anecdotally from my own personal observations, that I think older women who no longer have children to rear, or they're past the child rearing age, they also, when they step outside a relationship, sometimes it's for adventure, it's for fun, it's not got anything to do with children, either consciously or subconsciously. Their motivation is actually more similar to a young person's, even though they're not looking to have offspring, they still may want to do that. But I think that for women in the middle, that over 24, under 45, I think, or under 50, because even if you're 50-year-olds, a lot of 50-year-old women still have children in the household they're trying to raise. I think the motivation is totally different. Not for every single woman, but I'm just saying by and large, I think that women in that age range are more worried about the children they have, raising them. And that's where the problem comes in relationship and divorce and whatnot, and infidelity on the female side. I think there, women have to fight the urge to, quote, trade up. Because a woman's motivation will be subconsciously, and for some women consciously, that they want to ensure the children that they have, to make the best bet for those children growing to be adults. Now, and women are highly sensitive about security, their personal security and security of their family. Now, whether they have 5 children, 1 child, or no children, the motivation, the physiological motivation, the physiological triggers and whatnot are still the same. Women are primed to, the same as men are primed to react visually to things, women are primed to react to certain attributes of a man that will improve their chances for survival. And improving their chances for survival improves their child's chance for survival. So that's something that's kind of ingrained in women. And I would say, just flipping the script here for men, of course, we have our own motivations. Men are largely visual, and since men have less of a commitment, physiological commitment to the amount of effort it takes for them to reproduce, that men have a different perspective or a different reason for cheating. Men have to fight the temptation to spread their seed in as many places as possible, because nature has kind of built men to be able to do that. But men want to make sure that the seed that they know are theirs, that they invest time in those children, that they are raised properly. So nature is pretty much, tempting men to have their cake and eat it too. So, men not leaving their wives, nature is really telling men don't really necessarily want to, quote, upgrade. Men just want to have more. Also, now, as far as how this relates to, well, what can I do to improve my situation? What can I do to combat this infidelity? If you want to combat it. But I think there are people who want to be single, who do not want to be married, who do want to be in committed relationships. And if both parties are in agreement and they're adults, that's totally on them. So I'm speaking to the audience that does want to maintain a committed relationship. And basically, I think it parallels a lot of what you see in the marketplace, when it comes to any relationship, that you have to know what you want going into it. Identifying, the right product that fits your needs. And I think that a lot of people, when it comes to clothing, want to wear stuff that really doesn't look good on them.